Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and we're at the Larry H. Miller Toyota here in Murray to look at some Tundras. Now, the Tundra that I would personally purchase is not available for sale yet. It probably will be in the near future, and that is the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. And so in the first part of the video, we're going to kind of talk about some specs with the TRD Pro using a different Tundra that's somewhat close to it from a specification perspective. And then we're going to give kind of my thoughts as to whether or not I should personally add this to the collection, because I am currently looking to add another vehicle in to the whole channel thing and everything. And so yeah, I'm going to include a link to the Larry H. Miller Toyota Murray's website in the description down below. Definitely check them out. And then also my car buying guide as well if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car. Let's get into it. So this is the closest thing I can use as a visual for the TRD Pro. This is a 1794 edition with the TRD off-road package, so it's not quite a TRD Pro obviously, but close enough. So the first thing about the TRD Pro is it has almost 11 inches of ground clearance, which makes it a very capable off-road truck. On top of that, with the TRD Pro package, it has like a cool light bar there in the center, and that has the marker lights as well, which I think look fantastic. It has TRD Pro specific wheels that are a lot smaller than these, so it still has Falcon Wild Peak all-terrain tires, just like this truck, but instead of having 20-inch wheels, it has like 18-inch wheels, I believe. The other thing is it has Fox shocks, so this actually has Bilstein shocks with the TRD off-road package, but with the TRD Pro package, you get Fox shocks in the front and in the rear, so that should help out with damping quite a bit. And then under the hood, with the standard Tundra, you just have a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6. It's good for 389 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque, goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. But with the TRD Pro, you get the hybrid, which bumps up the horsepower to like 437, and then it bumps up the torque to like almost 600 pound-feet of torque. And speaking of TRD Pros, well, there's the old body style TRD Pro right there. Just pulling up. So yeah, there's the old body style TRD Pro. So anyways, the TRD Pro comes standard with a hybrid powertrain, which should get better fuel economy, and it'll be a lot more powerful than a standard Tundra, which I think is pretty cool. Then it gets the custom like TRD Pro exhaust as well. It's lifted a little bit compared to a standard Tundra. The front end, I believe it's like 2 inches or something like that, so it does sit quite a bit higher. And then it does have a custom interior with it. So this being the 1794 edition is going to have this like luxury based interior, whereas the TRD Pro has kind of like a cool like military themed off-roader type interior, but just like this truck, I would get it in the larger cab configuration. So it's, you know, from a family perspective, because we're talking about how this is going to apply to me as getting this as like a family car, it's going to have a ton of storage space in the back. You can be able to fit a car seat perfectly fine. And then you do get the composite bed with the Tundras, which is pretty cool. And so you don't have to worry about scratching paint or anything like that straight out of the box. I love the taillights on the new Tundra. I think that those are definitely fun. And then the other thing that's actually pretty cool is you've got this like button here on the side next to the light where you can lower down the tailgate on the button as well. And also, why is there a B or Z here from the Subaru dealership? Maybe it's because they're like, you know what, I should have bought the Toyota. But anyways, so the point that I'm trying to make is it'd be super spacious, right? It'd be a great family vehicle, and you know, I could add like power side steps or something like that to make it so that accessing the truck would be a little bit easier. Hybrid powertrain means it'd be a little bit more economical from a fuel standpoint, especially compared to like the Ram TRX, for example. And you know, it does have some off-road credibility. Now, if I were to get a TRD Pro, there are some changes that I would make, and we'll just kind of talk about that right now. So I would keep the standard 18-inch wheels, but the standard tires are like 33s. I would probably jump those up to like 35s. Maybe even lift it a little bit and put 37s, but I'd probably do 35s to start things off with. That'd give me even more ground clearance, and I think that that's how the Tundra should look. Because like, look, 35s just make everything look so much better. Now, one thing that I could do instead of getting the Tundra is get the Sequoia, which they're not going to have any Sequoias because they're not out yet. Sequoia comes standard with the turbocharged hybrid powertrain. Obviously, it's an SUV, so that's more practical from a family perspective, and the new TRD Pro is basically the same exact capabilities as the Tundra, just in Sequoia format. So it has a solid rear axle with coil springs, which that's another big thing about the new Tundra that actually I really like, is the fact that it has, you can't really see, but coil suspension in the rear end. And so the new Sequoia TRD Pro is basically what we get in the US as like a Land Cruiser. So that would be another one, and I'm putting that in this video, so I'm not gonna make 2 separate videos. But yeah, that's pretty much everything from like an off-road spec, and then obviously practicality spec and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now we're gonna give kind of my thoughts on the vehicles and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna pop in the TRX because it is literally like 100 degrees outside today. Absolutely miserable, and hopefully you guys can still see me. Let's do that. Ah, you can see me, but my hair's all over the place. And also, there we go. Maybe I should leave that in so you guys can kind of see behind the scenes a little bit with how I do some of the filming stuff. But let's get to the main topic. So, Tundra TRD Pro. Here's what I like about the TRD Pro is first the looks. I think it's a really good looking truck. I've seen the new Tundra TRD Pro at a couple auto shows, and it's a really good looking truck. And I imagine it with 35s would just look beautiful, especially when I saw Toyota's Baja concept. I was like, that is a good looking vehicle with the wide body and everything. Obviously I wouldn't go that crazy, but I think with just 35s it look great. And then, you know, like I said, practicality is great. It's, you know, a really capable vehicle off-road. The downside, and I kind of mentioned this in the Silverado ZR2 video, is it isn't really all that much different from what I already own because I have the Gen 3 Raptor and I have the TRX, which I'm not getting rid of. And so I basically would be adding another truck that I already have 2 trucks to do truck stuff. Like if I need to load up the beds, I have 2 trucks that can load up the beds. The Raptor's a little bit more practical because it doesn't have a tire carrier in the bed. And then, you know, if I needed to do light towing, I have 2 trucks that can tow an okay amount. A little bit less than the Tundra, but, you know, they can both tow an okay amount. And then, you know, from a backseat perspective, the TRX is super practical. With the backseat, I could add power running boards to this. So, like, again, they don't do things too much different from what I already have. And then from an off-road perspective, same thing that I mentioned in the ZR2 video, I feel like the Tundra TRD Pro would basically, again, from my ownership experience, would basically do everything that the Raptor and the TRX do, but probably not as good because it doesn't have as much ground clearance. And on top of not having as much ground clearance, it doesn't have all of the off-road tech that the Raptor and the TRX have. The Raptor and TRX are significantly more expensive than the Tundra TRD Pro. And so like the Tundra TRD Pro has some cool off-road tech, don't get me wrong, but the Raptor and the TRX, they just take it to a whole nother level. And, you know, it's just like, you can literally, like, if the Raptor and the TRX can fit in an obstacle, you can crawl up it. Whereas with the Tundra TRD Pro, it can do a lot. I've seen some videos, but I think there will be some limitations. And, you know, from being like a larger size too, it doesn't really do anything for me from an off-road perspective. Like, it's not like it's going to be able to fit in off-road places that I can't already fit in with the Raptor and the TRX. So again, that's kind of another thing going against it. And so you guys are probably thinking, well, then why not do like a Toyota 4Runner? I really like the 4Runner's cool, but like I really like to do vehicles on the channel that are kind of like on the cutting edge of technology in terms of like the off-roading stuff. And let's be honest, the 4Runner hasn't been updated in like forever, and so it's not. When they redo the 4Runner, that might be a really solid offering to go for. But, you know, we don't have a new 4Runner yet, and actually they have, let's drive over here, they have a 4Runner here that's pretty cool. I love the looks of the 4Runner, actually. I think it's a really cool truck. And then Tacoma, that's another one that people might mention from Toyota. I took that TRD Pro off-road, the Tacoma TRD Pro that I had, the 22. It did amazingly well, but the powertrain, it's so slow. It is so slow. Ooh, cool old Mustang. But yeah, they have this cool, like, look at this TRD Pro. Looks like a TRD Pro at least. A 4Runner in the green. That's pretty cool looking. Like, it looks so cool. But yeah, old school engine, old school transmission, which is super reliable. But I typically don't keep vehicles for super long, and so that doesn't, the reliability doesn't really concern me all that much. It doesn't really apply to me. But what does apply to me is that, again, it's on the old school side of things with everything. And so it's, yeah, I don't know, it just would, I don't think it would do as well on the channel because, like, basically, if I got like a 2022 or 2023 4Runner, someone could go look up a YouTube video on a 2016 4Runner and they would be watching the same content as what I'm making. So yeah, I don't really feel like it moves the line too much. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Tundra TRD Pro, trying to get one, or a Sequoia TRD Pro. I think either way, like, honestly, those vehicles, for what I do, they're the same vehicle because they're like the same size, they're built on the same platform, they have the same powertrain. It's just that one's an SUV and one's a truck. One has a truck bed and one doesn't. So like, from my perspective, they're like the same vehicle. So maybe the Sequoia, I'd lean more towards that because I think it looks cooler than the Tundra. So maybe I should have done Sequoia TRD Pro for this video instead of Tundra. I don't know, who cares? Anyways, let me know which one you guys would pick out of those two. And if you guys think that that's the route that I should go based on the pros and cons that I gave you in today's video. And yeah, I'll see you guys.